Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time for the Lou Olympics! We're going to be covering everything that you need to know about Lou. We're going to start with his mechanics, and then we're going to compare him against every other brawler in all of the Brawl Stars Olympics events, which is going to help us understand exactly what his strengths and weaknesses are. Lou is a very unique brawler, and I think that once people get used to his mechanics, he really could be very strong. Like crazy strong. Just not as strong as you when you use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. K-A-I-R-O-S, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. The only code that gives you super big muscles in your dreams. Lou overview. Lou is the Season 4 Chromatic Brawler, which means that you're gonna be able to unlock him from boxes after you've reached tier 30 in Season 4 Brawl Pass. And if you have the Brawl Pass, then you'll obviously be getting him once you reach tier 30 either way. He's going to have a legendary drop rate for his first season, a mythic drop rate for his second season, and an epic drop rate for seasons after that. As you can see, he is a snow cone machine that works in the Snowtell environment with Mr. P and Gale. Here's what he looks like if he wins. And here's what he looks like if he loses. As you guys can tell, he's all about flavor and snow cones.
Blueberry twirl! Try a blizz ball, y'all! I got the sauce! Uncle Lou is here for you!
Lou's attack, brain freeze. For Lou's attack, he throws snow cones at enemies. Now if they do get hit, they will have a cold status applied to them. If they get hit by 7 snow cones, that cold status will then freeze them for 1 second. They won't be able to attack or move, just like a stun from Frank's super. If a brawler doesn't get hit by the cold status for more than 2 seconds, they will slowly start to warm up and the cold status will go away over time. It takes 20 seconds for 6 snow cones worth of cold to go away, which is a very long time in battle, but you're going to be able to see the cold stacks for you and your teammates so you can have an idea of how much longer you need to wait. Lou's super can do. For Lou's super, Lou throws out a freezing cold syrup that creates an icy, slippery area on the ground. Now this does not impact Lou or his teammates at all, but enemies caught in the super will have a very difficult time moving. They're going to have a hard time starting to move. If they're standing still, it's going to take them a while for them to actually even get moving in the first place, and it's pretty much pointless for you to try and change directions, right? Now, if they are moving in the same direction, this super actually doesn't impact them very much at all. With the exception, of course, the fact that their movement speed is going to be very predictable, making it very easy for you to land attacks on them. Now, if an enemy is frozen while walking on the super, they will freeze for 1 second and then continue in the direction that they were going to before they froze. Lou's gadget, Ice Block. When Lou activates this ability, he shields himself with ice. This makes him invulnerable for 1 second, and that means that absolutely 0 damage can be dealt to him during that time. He can even take a Shelly super right to the face without blinking an eye, but the trade-off is that he can't move or attack for that 1 second. Lou's star power, super cool. When Lou has this star power equipped and enemies are standing on his super, they will gradually get cold status applied to them. During the time that Lou's super's on the ground, they will get almost completely frozen. And when paired with Lou's attack, the enemy absolutely can be frozen multiple times because of this star power. And another benefit is it makes it a lot harder for enemies to start warming up to try and remove that cold status, because they're obviously not going to be able to do that while they're in the super. By the way, guys, if you're liking what you are seeing, make sure you subscribe for more high quality Brawl Stars content and more sneak peeks. Now that we know how Lou works, let's put him through a bunch of tests that are designed specifically to see how Lou will do against all other brawlers in various aspects of the game. We're going to start off with Lou's worst test, and then we're going to make our way up to his best test where he really thrives. Then we'll talk about how strong I think he's going to be. The area test. For this test, brawlers try to get rid of as many skulls as possible with either their attack or super. Unfortunately for Lou, his super does not destroy bones, so he only has his attack to rely on. He's able to get rid of 18 of the bones, which ties him with Jesse for 40th place. I don't really think this is a fair assessment of Lou's area control because his super will have a very massive impact on certain modes. The swarm test. This test is a reflection of a brawler's ability to deal with multiple enemies at once. Lou does not have any way to deal damage to more than one enemy, so he has to rely on his reload speed to kill all of the bots. Lucky for him, his reload speed is actually pretty fast, but unlucky for him, he does not deal enough damage to take the bots out very quickly. He ends up taking 40th place out of the 41 brawlers in the game, only beating Gene. The dive test. This test is designed to see how well a brawler can deal damage while under heavy fire. Lou's only able to deal 3,192 damage before dying, which places him in 37th. I should note that I tried using Lou's gadget and it actually doesn't help him at all because he can't attack or move while he's invulnerable to that damage. The boss test. This test is a good measure of how much damage a brawler can deal over the period of an entire match. Lou takes 1 minute and 50 seconds to take out the boss, which is pretty similar to Colette and Jackie actually. He places 35th for this test, which suggests that he is not very good at dealing damage over a long period of time. The assassin assassin test. This test measures how much damage can be dealt in 3 seconds with all abilities. Lu only deals damage with his attack and can deal 6,384 damage in that time. He ends up taking 34th out of the 41 brawlers in the game. The super test. This test measures how much damage a brawler can deal with their super, and Lu's super doesn't deal any damage, so he ties with several other brawlers for 32nd place. I did, however, want to show you Lu's super compared to Sandy's and Spike's to give you a good idea of how much control it will offer. Spike's deals the most damage but only lasts for 5 seconds and has a small radius. Sandy's super has the largest radius and lasts for 9 seconds. Lu's lasts for 10 seconds and has a medium-sized radius. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of how useful Lu's super will be despite it not dealing any damage at all. The attack test. Lu is able to deal 1,596 damage with 1 attack, meaning 3 projectiles, and 4,780 damage with 3 complete attacks. That's enough for Lu to 3-shot 24 brawlers in the game, including Jean and Tara. Lu ends up taking 32nd in the attack test. The box test. Now, I haven't done a box test video, but the idea is to see how quickly a brawler can snowball in Showdown. Lu has a low damaging attack that can only deal damage to 1 target at a time. Because of this, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's going to be pretty terrible at gaining momentum in Showdown. He requires 4 ammo to open up his first box, and he requires 3 power cubes in order for him to take out a box with 3 ammo, which means he's going to be pretty cold in Showdown. The race test. Lu has a normal movement speed and no way for him to get ahead in the race test. It takes him 12.3 seconds to complete the race test, which ties him with 15 other brawlers for 27th place. The survival test. Lu does get the help from his gadget twice to help him in the survival test. I tried several times to try and get a 3rd gadget use in there, but doesn't look like it's possible. Lu's able to survive for 12.5 seconds, which places him in 23rd place for this test. I should mention that using his gadget is going to require perfect timing, but can make a big difference in his survivability. The attack range test. Lu has an attack range of 9 tiles, which ties him with Pam, Dynamite, Colt, and Barley for 15th place. This definitely is not the longest range in the game, but Lu's going to be able to handle himself in a long distance fight. The reload test. This test measures how quickly a brawler can unload and reload 10 ammo. Lu's able to complete this test in 18.1 seconds, giving him a reload speed of 1.8 seconds. Now this actually ties him with Shelly for 14th place and is actually a very fast reload speed. The super range test. Lu's super has an impressive range of 11 tiles. This is just as long as Colt's and Mortis's super and ties him with them for 13th place in this test. The supercharge test. This test measures how quickly a brawler can charge up their super and gives us an idea of how frequently they will have their super charged up for. Lu requires 7 hits in order for him to charge up his super, which he can do with 3 ammo in 1.2 seconds. This places him in 5th for this test, but I should note that his super doesn't actually recharge his super at all. I do think that a skilled Lu will have his super up very frequently though, and since Lu's super is his most important feature in battle, I think this is a pretty big deal. The stun test. Lu's attacks and star power are able to help him stun enemies for 1 second, which ties him with Gale and Nita for 4th in this test. Now what I find significant is that he's the only brawler that can consistently stun with his attack, which I find pretty crazy strong. The slow test. Now Lu's super is able to slow enemies for up to 10 seconds. Technically, they'd have to be really indecisive and be moving all over the place while trapped in the super in order for it to be considered a slow, but that is the 2nd longest slow in the game and is only beat by B, who can permanently slow enemies if they don't get rid of their honey molasses gadget. This is a good way to realize how useful Lu's super can be in the right situation. And now it is time for us to see Lu's best Olympics event, and you may actually be surprised to see that Lu is first in a brand new event in the Brawl Stars Olympics. And that Olympics event test is the Get Down and Dance test. No other brawler has the ability to make enemies randomly start dancing on the battlefield, and that makes Lu the best disco party brawler in Brawl Stars. All jokes aside, Lu's super is very unique, and I'm really interested to see how useful it's going to be. Now let's talk about how strong I think Lu is going to be. It's really obvious to me that Lu is not going to be good at dealing very much damage. Because of that, he is going to struggle in 1v1 situations, probably against most enemy brawlers. However, he does have some very redeeming traits that can be used to his advantage. Obviously, his stun is insanely strong, and he has a fast reload speed and a long enough range that I think that a skilled Lu player is going to be great at controlling the field from a safe distance. Arguably insanely great, right? And then of course, when you're playing with smart teammates, shout out to you randoms out there, guys, they'll also be able to take advantage of it for very frequent and easy kills. But Lu's super is where he's really going to come into competitive play. The fact that it can easily control a large part of the field for 10 seconds is ridiculously strong in the right modes. It's going to make it so hard for enemies in game modes where certain locations are really important. He's going to make it very annoying for enemies who are either trying to defend in Brawl Ball or even trying to score a goal in Brawl Ball, right? It's going to be nearly impossible for enemies to safely grab gems in Gem Grab. And in open siege maps where he can actually utilize his range, he's going to just be an insane monster at controlling the field. Not to mention the fact that his super covers the entire zone in Hot Zone, which is going to make it impossible for enemies to dodge shots. I think it is very obvious that Lou is not going to be good in solo showdown, probably also duo showdown. I don't think he has enough burst potential to be a good option in bounty, and I don't think he does enough damage for heist. But in Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, Siege, and Hot Zone, Lou, he's going to be a monster, right? I don't know if he's going to need a nerf or if he's going to need a buff. If he needs a buff, it would be to his attack damage. If it needs a nerf, it would be to either how much his attacks apply that cold status or the duration of his super. But either way though, I definitely think that Lou is going to be a lot of fun in the right maps and modes, and of course with the right teammates. But I want to know what you guys think about Lou, so drop a comment in the section below rating him from 1 being like the weakest brawler in the game to 10 being the strongest brawler in the game. Make sure you guys subscribe for more quality Brawl Stars content. Use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. It really does help my channel out a lot, and it expires every 7 days, so using it frequently would be really nice. And for now guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.